Okay, good afternoon or morning, whichever one it is for you. Mount Pleasant Cardinals. This is Miss Jessica Gonzalez with you. I am your 10th grade counselor, and we are here once more with another Mount Pleasant alumni interview in honor of College Week. So we're going to get started. I first want our interviewee to introduce himself with his name, the year he graduated from Mount Pleasant, the school he is currently attending, and the major or degree and program that you are currently pursuing. So go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is C.Avalos. I graduated in 2019. I'm currently attending Foothill College and I am a computer science major.
Perfect. Thank you, Carlos. So to get started, the first question I want to ask you is if you went to college directly after high school, so that means like right after graduating, did you begin attending college? Why or why not?
So I did attend college right after high school and it was mostly for my parents at the time. My parents always put, an importance to going to college. So I felt a little pressured to go to college right after high school.
Okay, that's good. And as you stated, you're currently at Foothill Community College. So you started taking classes at Foothill right after you graduated.
Yes.
So can you talk to us a little bit about the type of student that you were previous to college, right? So your high school experience, and then even mention a little bit about that difference, or if there's any, to the type of student that you consider yourself now.
So I wasn't not the best student at all in high school. I think at one point I had a 1.0 GPA. I would say I was a little unmotivated while in high school. It just caused me to perform very bad. Versus now, I'd say I'm a better student. A lot more motivated, and I have, more motivation to learn, which is actually helping me. I have a 3.6 GPA in at full college, so.
And you also work full time, right?
Yeah, I do. I do have a full-time job as well.
Yes. And in regards to your classes, right now we are on in like distance learning, right? So when you started attending college, you also started working a full-time job, from what I understand. Uh, can you talk a little bit about how you managed that? Because I believe you were also taking a full load, right? Which
Yes.
means like a lot of units, like a full-time student and a full-time employee.
Yeah, I'm not entirely too sure how many units. I think it was something like 16. But I was taking, all of my units. I was working an 8 to 5 at the time, so it was pretty tough. I had to learn to adapt to, learn to have a work life and a school life. I did that by, you know, having more of a online learning type of college experience. So I wouldn't go in as much as any other student. So most of my classes were online, which is how I managed to, have a full workload and as well as have a full-time job.
So you had experience prior to everyone going into shelter in place and experienced distance learning, right? So right off the bat, you were taking online classes.
Yeah, fully asynchronous. So I would not go in at all. It was at my own pace. They gave us work, lectures, read them at your own on your own time, and turn them in on Sunday.
So
That's
you
how the
did, yeah. So it sounds like you had to learn a lot of time management.
Yes, definitely.
Do you think that's something that you learned like right after high school, or you were kind of doing that in high school, or not at all?
No, not at all in high school. I definitely had to learn how to manage
Your
in
time.
college. Yeah,
And it sounds
you
like
have to learn to separate. Because if your efficiency goes down during work, that's a good reason for them to offload you, and you don't want that.
yeah, exactly. So you had to do a lot of growing up in a short period of time,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So with that, I wanted to also ask you if you were encouraged to do well in school, like while you were in school. You mentioned that you were a little unmotivated. At one point you did have a 1.0. I know that you were also playing soccer inside of like during, part of Mount Pleasant as a team member of the Mount Pleasant soccer boys soccer team. Sorry. So I wanted to ask you about that, because you did mention again you were unmotivated, but were you encouraged to do well in school? And what kind of messages did the adults in your life, like your parents, your teachers, your coaches, give you about your education?
So I was encouraged to do well in school by my parents and, my teachers. They all obviously want to see you succeed. My parents definitely expressed, how important school is, and they did encourage me to do better. I did have some sort of motivation when it came to school, when only during soccer season. I do remember my freshman year of high school. I did fairly well, maybe 3.4 GPA. Well, that was because of soccer, and then it kind of just went downhill from there. Uh, Soccer didn't. I missed out on soccer. I think maybe 3 years in a row, due to my grades. So.
Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. So let's go on to our next question. So, what was your childhood dream job or career, right? A lot of us were asked as maybe in kinder or first grader, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's the first part of the question. And the second part is is your current major or program of choice aligned to this childhood dream?
So I've always wanted to have a career in some type and anywhere in computing. As I've grown a little more, I've gone more towards the path of software engineering, which aligns very well with my major, which is computer science. Uh, it's always been something with computers, and
since you were a child, you were interested
yeah,
in
since I was a child.
And was it like specific to like video games, or just you were just drawn and fascinated to computers in general, like breaking them apart, putting them together?
Yeah, just overall, I always been interested in, fixing things, that when it comes to computers, as well as making my own things when it comes to computers, programs and stuff like that.
Perfect. Did you have any experience in high school that helped like foster that interest?
Yeah, SVCT definitely it opened my eyes a little more, through their mechatronics engineering class. I got a lot more into it. It definitely evolved my love for programming and evolved my love for computing or computers, and it's why I chose it as a career.
Perfect. And you attended SBCTE during your junior and senior year, or which one of the
Just
years?
my junior year. My senior year, I had an internship,
Oh,
and so I
cool.
would leave early from school.
And where was your internship at?
Eastside Union High School District. I worked in the IT department for a year.
Awesome. And that opportunity came to you through SBCTE, or how did that come about?
That opportunity came through a summer program I did. The program was called Genesis Works. So
Nice.
there it was more of a professional development, as well as gaining some technical knowledge, and adding that to a resume, for example.
Cool. And you learned about this the Genesis Work Program through Mount Pleasant, or?
Yeah, it was through. I think they came to. It was my history class, and they did a presentation. And it seemed interesting, so I decided to take on it. There was an interview process, so it was a good experience.
Perfect. That's so cool. Another example of how important it is to just take risks and a chance, right? Even though you don't know what will be the end result.
Yeah, definitely, getting rid of that fear is
Right. Learn about yourself now that you're in college.
Yeah. I've learned my learning style. For example, I did fully asynchronous. I learned that I'm not the best learner when it comes to learning inside a classroom. When it comes to hearing a lecture in the classroom is just not for me. So I got to explore, different learning styles, and I was able to find the one that fits for me.
And that's super important, right? And I think one of the biggest messages that I like to give my students too is that don't don't sell yourself short of an opportunity, right? Because you don't necessarily have to know what you want to do or what you want to study when you go into college, but you can definitely grow in different areas of life, right? Like you've learned, like you attending college and or continuing your studies, um, whether it was because it was an expectation given by family, or something that you were like, I have to do it, I really don't want to do it, but I have to do it. You've learned about yourself as a who you are as a student, right? You know that you thrive in an online asynchronous class environment, right? Whereas if you wouldn't have gone to college, you wouldn't have learned that about yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So, with that, we're coming to the end of our interview. I wanted to ask if you have any advice for our current Mount Pleasant students. Um, we are definitely living some very unique times. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're trying to stay as engaged as we can, trying to keep our students as motivated as we can. So, any piece of advice for our students during these times is greatly welcomed and appreciated. Carlos, go ahead.
I'd say one piece of advice I can give, any student is to not let their high school experience damage what they think about college. Uh, just because you had a bad experience in high school doesn't mean it's going to be the same for college. I can say I had a bad experience in high school, but the college experience is definitely different for me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Carlos. I really appreciate your time, you sharing your experience and in what you are currently living as a college student. I think it's very important to highlight our alumni, whether it's Mount Pleasant or Eastside experiences, because I feel like our students can see themselves in you, and anyone else who attended our school or any other school in Eastside. So again, I want to thank you for your time, and I wish you the best of luck and keep up the hard work.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Bye.